Push the button.
Here, there it is. Very quickly before we get into this, it says this hangout is on is live. Hangouts on air is going away 1st of August. For quick streaming, try youtube.com web. It says sorry, youtube.com webcam cam. It's just here on my little admin panel, so me and Patricia are going to look at that. But anyway, we are here with the very Mr. Thrive and Survive and our Patricia. Hi, guys.
Hello, everyone. I know this will be uploaded later, so post haste. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
We are back. And we've got Mr. Thrive and Survive all to ourselves. What can be better than that?
Hey, she paid me $2,500,012 for this hangout.
You're not supposed to tell anybody that.
What's that? What's that saying? A rose between two thorns.
Pardon me?
A rose between two thorns. So you're the rose, and me and Karen are the thorns.
Mr. Thrive and Survive's been one of our longest friends and one of my friends. It's been a pleasure knowing Mr. Thrive and Survive. He's a very nice person, very caring person, on top of being a flat earther.
Yeah, likewise too, the reverse. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's some people even in your own movement that you don't want to be with or hang around or trust. Thank God it's not many, but there's some, and Karen's not one of them. I totally trust her with everything.
Oh, bless you, Rich. We love you too, and the same back at you. Hey, Rich, very quickly before we get into you talking, and Patricia was the one that told me, and I probably didn't even, I must have just forgotten about it, but it was because a video came up of the conference. I only realised a little while ago that I was nominated. I didn't even know.
You know what? I didn't even catch it either. But, you know, there was a couple somebody was talking to me about when they were announcing who it was. So I probably missed it. So did you get your award?
I didn't win, but I was nominated. I just got like, you see, I came up at the conference, Karen Pettit, but I never knew anything about it. Isn't that weird? But anyway, it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Well, I've never even been nominated, so there you go.
We'll nominate you, Rich. You know we will.
Anyway. Maybe it's better not to be nominated. It means you're not maybe too much of an insider. Yeah, I don't need any nominations.
We don't need to follow the group mentality, do we?
Yeah,
be a leader.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to leave, isn't it?
Well, actually, that's the second surprise for me, because I was also on that video of Mark Sargent's. Welcome, Mark Sargent. Didn't even know about that either. In fact, it was other people telling me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But anyway, enough of that. Rich, you know we haven't been on for a little while, and now we're back on a bit streaming. What have you been doing lately?
Well, as far as pretty much status quo, I've been working with Mike Ball to do the sun angles test, and we're going to do an eclipse test. And we spent 4 hours 2 Saturdays ago, I think it was, or 3 Saturdays ago, driving around. We found a Doppler radar unit, big white unit. You know what? I'm going to actually, in a little bit, I'm going to show you this because it makes a good point. So what I'm doing now is I'm finding that picture. I'm going to forward it to my email so I can show you guys on here. But anyway, we found a huge Doppler radar unit. That's going to be our sun. And we are going to go 1 mile away and place the sun and moon. So it's going to be to scale 193 millionth scale, I think is what it is. And we're going to prove whether you can see the moon and the sun at the same time in the sky, which we know from the mathematics of it, you cannot, because the distance is too much different. So let me forward this. Actually, you know what? I could forward it to you directly. Now, let me do it this way, because I'd have to ask you.
What are you trying to do, Rich?
It's a picture that I want to show you. I'm going to be doing a video on it. It's just a Doppler radar we're going to use for the sun, but there's another good point that.
What would you like me to put that as the picture on the Hangout?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, send it to me and then I can add it.
What does your email start with, Karen?
Karen Kohler.
Of course, it's not saved there. Hold on a minute. I don't want you to give away your email address, so I can find it here in just a second. I should know it.
I know, but I get confused about some of yours.
Yeah, you have to. I used an email address for someone if they wanted to support the channel. And of course, ever since I did that, I've been accused of doing this for money. So far, I've had this many 666. I've had zero people donate anything through it. But boy, the accusations are there,
Oh.
and it's okay if there's zero. If nobody wants to contribute, they don't contribute. And we're going to talk about that, about the money situation, something I told you about today, didn't I, Karen? About a good way to fix my money situation is to move somewhere.
Yes, I was a bit shocked. A long way, Rich.
I've always wanted to look into that. I wasn't looking at Costa Rica, but my brother suggested it. And there we go. It comes up on this one. So you're going to get this picture in a minute. I just sent it to your email address. Let me come back to the chat now. Can you post it on the chat?
We can just do it afterwards, Rich. Don't worry about it now. Send me the picture afterwards. We'll sort
I
that
already sent it to you.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll add that. Anyway, explain a bit more about what you're doing.
There's several reasons for me to want to move out of this country. First of all, politically, it's getting weird. Mostly with the left, it's becoming extreme, and I can see where they're going to want to have, on purpose, try to create civil war and civil unrest and things like that. That's one thing. But financially, being on a fixed income Social Security, it's all I can do to survive each month. Really is. And I usually end up having to borrow money for a few days and then pay it back and that kind of thing. So the cost of living with what I get in Social Security, which is a whole $2,300 a month, roughly, you're actually an upper middle class person there. And with that, check this out. You can have a live-in maid that cooks for you for as low as $200 a month. That's the difference in the cost of living there. You can rent a house for $300 up to $1,200 a month, and if it's $1,200, you're at the upper scale. You're probably near the beach and all that stuff.
Everybody's packing their suitcases and moving on.
But the temperature, that's the thing. Let me see what the temperature is. Convert 78 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius. 25 degrees Celsius is the average all year round there. And anyway, it's just a lot of it intrigues me. I'd like to go down there and check it out. I have to learn Spanish, but that's just the way it is, right? So anyway, I guess I can share screens.
Sure, and it doesn't matter if you show the link today, Rich.
Hey, that's right. It doesn't matter, does it?
It doesn't matter.
Yay, that's a bonus.
Yeah, I have to say very quickly back to what you were saying when you said about the unrest. I can see it through this case that I've got into on this other channel. That's exactly what I see, because it's like everybody's killing each other, but they're not. They're making these programs for the people to think, make people take their emotions, make them think things, make you feel like you can't trust anybody. I'm pretty sure it's to take your gun law down so that you can't have guns, because they need that. And it just goes on like that. And that's exactly what I see.
Hold on just a second. Charlie, it's Samir. It's okay. Okay. Can you see my screen?
We can. I'll just put it on your. I'll just put it on you, Rich.
Okay. This is the Doppler radar unit we found. And while we were taking the picture, Mike mentioned something. And I was like, darn if it isn't true. Imagine this is the moon, okay? Notice, can you see the hot spot right here?
Hmm.
It's hard to see my cursor,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I can see it.
Let me
I
do
can see
this.
it.
Yeah, right there. That's the hot spot. But notice, see how the edges get darker? Now we can't see the top because we're below it, but see how the edges get darker because the curve of the ball reflects the light away from you instead of towards you, or more away from you. So can you see that? How it gets darker on the edge? Now,
Yeah.
if we were looking at it straight on, it'd be dark all the way around on the edge. So now compare this to the moon, which is supposedly a 3D ball. We see no hot spot, and we never get any kind of darkening around the edges. Oh, sorry about that. This should all end in a few seconds here. Okay, that's all. That's all I wanted to show. But just another proof that the moon isn't a ball reflecting sunlight. But people can't trust their own eyes. You know, I've never had anybody explain that yet. By the way, that's one thing. No one has explained why we don't see the moon behave like that.
Rich,
Why we don't observe it.
I'm a bit surprised that people aren't more interested in on. Well, it's when it has to be nighttime, obviously, because you need to see the stars. But it has to be when the moon hits the Tropic of Capricorn and Cancer, and it does it once a month, moving the stars around. I can't believe that more people don't see or understand like the moon just appears and vanishes in front of you, or it can do. It doesn't for all people, but it obviously goes through these gates. There's so many things. There's so many things.
I've noticed that, Karen.
This week going to start my moon documentary.
Yeah, the
And
moon is just that is. I love it and
yeah,
hate it once because I don't understand it because I just don't. I think it's almost like it's watching you.
yeah. Well,
it comes up
and people
here. Like, it's just an incredible thing. That thing.
absolutely. To me it is a smoking gun. That if you can't see something's wrong there. Another to me anyway. Another proof that it is not reflecting sunlight is the fact that I've explained this before. At sunset or sunrise, before sunrise or after sunset, wait until it's dark enough to where you cannot. There's not enough light for you to cast a shadow on the ground. You can't see your shadow. But look up in the sky and it's still blue. There's still blue in the sky. So then compare that to, let's say, a full moon overhead where you get a very defined shadow of yourself and there's no blue around the moon whatsoever. How is that possible? If it's reflecting the same light, we should still get some blue. Now, it depends
Yeah,
on your
not just that.
source.
How does it work then? If say I can pick this one because I know I did this loads of times with people in Australia. They've got the moon in the daytime and it's out and it's blue sky, and we're in the nighttime. And you look up at the moon and there's no difference. There's nothing to say, well, actually, it's really out in the daytime and you're seeing it in the nighttime because of your location. There's nothing. There's no haze around it. There's there's nothing. It's just in our nighttime or in their daytime.
Yeah, and when it's in their daytime, the seas, the dark parts of the moon, are blue. So how is
Yeah.
that explained too?
Hmm.
Plus, it depends on the source, and it's hard to get these sources anymore because Google has changed the algorithm, so you can't find any truth. The moon is, let's say, roughly 1/7 the brightness of the sun, or 1/10 or 1/30th, whatever the number is. We should get that much blue. If it's 1/30th out of the sun, we should get 1/30th the amount of blue. Plus, and they deny it. I just did a video on this. Moonlight is cold, even with good controls. and the other side just wants to deny it.
I have to
Um,
say, Rich, it's in our atmosphere. It's we can't go to it. We can't say exactly how far up it is, but it is not very far at all. And if you
Absolutely.
in the clouds, I know it moves. I don't quite. Maybe it's because it's in another dimension, and that's how it's like it can be there and here at the same time. But it is here, even if it's there, and it's in our clouds, and it can stay like, say for you, your weather doesn't, like, the hours don't change too much summer to winter. Some of America does. They have more times like we do. The difference, like in the winter it is only like 6 hours, 7 hours daylight, and in the summer it's like 18. But in the summer the sun spends all day going over my house, hours of it, 14 hours, 18, well, 40, yeah, whatever hours of it. How can it then be with you if it spent all that time going over my house? But in the winter, it doesn't.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know if you heard this, but
It must be spinning faster in the winter.
well, next June 21st, next solstice, me and Mike are planning to go to Barrow, Alaska, and go to the furthest north region we can go to in the United States. And there's somebody, a flat earther who lives there, who's going to give us a tour. He knows a spot where it's going to be wide open, a big valley to where we can film the 24-hour sun. And I'm soliciting from both sides what would be a good proof, because the last time I showed the zigzagging sun up there, they gave me these. Oh no, you have to do this to prove if it's going around us or we're spinning or whatever. But
I've got
these
a bit of information for you, Rich. We were talking to Mike Allen, right? Me and Patricia last week. And he lives really quite north in Canada, not the northeast. And in the winter, yeah, it is really cold there. But in the summer, it may not be for 10 weeks, but they can get 6 weeks of weather at 45 degrees in the middle, all right, where they show you it's just covered in ice. So he's
yeah.
pretty sure that if you went up to the North Pole, it could be quite warm up there most of the time, and it's only really cold in the winter.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that's another place we're not allowed to go to. They just don't broadcast it. You never hear of anybody going. Why is there no tours to the North Pole? They should be in the summer.
Yeah, where is it as well? I keep
Yeah, for real. Before we leave the moon completely, you were talking about the moon and the clouds. You noticed, I'm sure, it only illuminates the local clouds.
Mm,
It doesn't illuminate all the clouds in the sky. Only the ones where the moon is right behind.
yes. Still
So
hard
it's
to explain though, because if I have my moon and you have your moon, if I got on a plane, that moon would come with me all the way to America. It's bizarre.
absolutely, yeah. And that's uh, imagine this is a glass, all right, a clear glass, and you hold it up, and you're looking through the glass at the moon. Well, you can do this at home. You look at a light bulb that's on the other side of the room, on the ceiling, whatever, and you move your head back and forth. In other words, you travel, that light will come with you. Whereas if you take the glass away and look at it directly, the light doesn't come with you. So to me, that's part of the proofs that the moon and the sun both we see as reflections. There's much better proofs than that, but that's one of them. It
Mm.
explains a whole lot of things too with the sun.
Yes, those enigmas. I mean, um, like I was, it was through Robert Forsh because he does so much filming over the sea and those little, what we think are glistenings in the sea. They're not. That is also electrical orbs. Everything is electrical. So those little flashes are electric. But we can go in the sea because it's a different kind of electric. The sun has got these little orbs all over it because it's electric. Everything's electric. It's most amazing. But can I
Oh,
just ask? Patricia's put a mic. Patricia, she's never actually said that. I realise. She said, "I know what you mean, Karen." So, have you seen the moon disappear then, Patricia? Oh, Patricia, she's muted now. I thought she took her microphone off. Oh. Oh, she's not there. Well, she was there. I think she must be having a problem. Patricia. Sorry, there she
there
is.
she is.
Oh,
Oh,
She was there for a moment.
there she is.
right. Hopefully it'll stay. It did it itself. I never even touched it. No, you're saying it like it comes through a curtain. I've been sat here and I look at the sky most sort of days about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes I see the moon just there. I don't see it move from left to right or right to left or whatever. It just appears, like you say, as if it's coming through some curtains. And it's not because there's clouds out, because you can't see the moon if it's full of clouds. It just appears from nowhere.
Mm. I think it's really bizarre because it's not the only place, but I've actually seen it appear. Oh, you're muted, Rich. I've actually seen it appear over Thatcham, right in front of me. And I've gone to the garage. There's no moon. I've come back and there's a moon just past my house. But sometimes it travels from further down the road, if you know what I mean. It doesn't just come here, but there's obviously some gates here, over here somewhere.
Well, here's something interesting too. I haven't put this up yet, but Mike Ball has some excellent footage where he has his infrared camera right next to his regular camera. And the regular camera, the moon disappears, but on the infrared, it stays there.
Wow.
So I don't know what to make of that, but he's got multiple rolls of it.
So a bit like an eclipse.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a atmospheric eclipse.
I think it might be a vampire. So you can only see it on a night. It disappeared during the day because it's a vampire. No, sorry.
Well,
It just showed you we don't really know anything
no, we
about the
don't.
moon. And when people say, "Oh, this is what it is, this is what it does," you just think, no, because you're only assuming that. You know, you just have to look at the sun and the moon, and you're just like, wow. When you look at all the things we've been taught and we take it for granted, and then you actually look at it yourself, that's not what happens.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. That happens with so many things.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. They get 52
Occasionally,
million a day.
occasionally, and on the other channel, someone said, they just wish they were ignorant again and had their old world back. Because in that one, we probably didn't think. We just, whatever it was. And now everything has changed and you can't go back. And we don't have any answers. And it's such a shame that they're not researching where we live properly.
Well, if I could throw a little religious thought into it,
If you must.
If I must, okay. For those that are, I'm sorry, pardon me, Karen, just a moment.
I actually am in awe about the beauty of the sun and the moon, because I haven't really been brainwashed. Sorry, I shouldn't really say that, but I haven't really believed anything that other people have said, but I've started looking at it better. I'll shut up now because
Every time you see it racing across the sky, it's doing that thing, I think, because you don't see it very often. Racing across the sky like that, so you can actually almost watch it move with your naked eye, seeing it go. And it's doing that. I'm sure those are the equinox things, Cancer and Capricorn, but it's got to be nighttime. Once you see the moon pulling the stars, it picks them up, drops them off. But I never turned round or went out to see if all the stars moved around or whether they were just moving those ones. That's annoyed me because it's so hard here in the UK. First of all, you've got to get the nighttime of it. And the second thing is no cloud.
What do you think? It could be moonlighting as a taxi firm or something, moving the stars around. Moonlighting. A bit of a joke there, but go on. Go on, Rich.
That's what I'm trying to say is the moon is just an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's an anomaly that science doesn't explain correctly to us.
And you know, like when you've got the ley lines and they're like half triangles and all that, it follows. I'm not sure what happens, but I've seen it go across and then go down to the valley here and then go west. I've seen it do so many different things. It's just an incredible thing. I don't even know what it is. Do we? What is it? What is it? It's a chocolate chip cookie.
Made of cheese, Karen.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, it's still a timepiece, the best timepiece there is.
Yeah, anyway, Rich was saying.
Yeah, and this is not just religious, it's also non-religious. You'll see what I mean too. In the religious world, I should say not in the religious world, in the Christian Bible, There's a in the New Testament it talks about people that believe the lie, and because they believe the lie, they're going to fall for the deception. And I believe the lie is the spinning ball, and that we have this vast universe and things like that. And what it all comes down to is those who don't believe, who really firmly know that the earth is flat and we're the center of the universe and we don't move and there is nothing else out there, we're the only ones that are not going to fall for this alien deception that's coming. And the flat earth, and the Bible talks about the truth has to be out there for a witness. Doesn't mean everybody's going to believe it. Doesn't mean anybody's going to believe it. But the witness has to be there first. And that's what I think we're going through. We're providing the witness, whether you believe in it or not, as far as Christianity. We are going to have an alien deception where they're going to say aliens are doing this or doing that. And it's going to get everybody to unite to feed all their money into the central governments to protect ourselves, just like they did with 9/11. And
But you know what's really
I think
strange?
it's coming soon.
We have got aliens here, but they're just a different form of humans. Those elongated headed ones. How come?
Yes, they're
Maybe,
demons.
yeah, maybe like I don't know how much you're into it or not. And we did have Brian Forrester on, obviously on The Other Sun and Moon, and talked to other, Marie Wheatley's another one. But these suddenly, like, what do you mean suddenly? These things would have been here. They're older than us, or as long as us. So
They've been here since the beginning.
yeah. So why suddenly are they coming through? And in a sense, they are aliens because they're not human. They're not like us. They're different humans or
Well,
different.
I
So
think
maybe they can use them.
I think there's a better than even chance, Karen, that it won't be real aliens. It'll be the governments
Oh
projecting
yeah.
aliens.
If we're in a enclosed system, we're not coming from out there, then, are they?
And the perfect time to spring it would be during the next economic collapse, which is right around the corner. And if you don't mind, Karen, I'd like to go down that path a little bit because there's
Oh
certain
yeah,
things.
I bet you do, don't you? With an arrest and stuff.
Well, this is more the economic and food problems we're going to be having because we're into the Maunder minimum. I've talked on your hangout before about this, about how every 400 years we go through a sunspot minimum, and it's been termed the Maunder minimum. Every 400 years, if you look at the climatological data, there's a
Is this
cycle that happens.
when Ice Age?
Yes, absolutely. The last time it happened was in the 1600s, and that's when the Pilgrims came to North America, and even in Virginia and North Carolina, they froze to death. These are very temperate climates today. You wouldn't freeze to death today in Virginia or North Carolina, chances are, unless you're totally out there just exposing yourself in the middle of the night. But these were very educated people on how to keep warm, how to build houses and things like that. The Chesapeake Bay, which is a huge body of water, froze over. The Great Lakes were frozen over. And it was just horrible growing conditions, floods during the growing season and things like that. And food was scarce, and it caused an economic collapse all over the world. Well, we're in that Maunder minimum now. I was thinking this past year would be the first year we noticed more floods, different things going on, and the media is not talking about this, and they should be. In 1933, I think it was, the United States had its worst crop failure ever. And it took, I think, 4 years for the United States to recover. And a lot of people starved, and a lot of people couldn't afford food during the Great Depression when everything was going down in price. Now, this spring, right here, the United States had way worse floods than during that 1933 time period, and nobody's talking about it. Almost entire states, Karen, are underwater, were underwater. Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, all in that central part of the country where most of the wheat and soybeans are grown. And what we're doing, what people don't realize is the reason why corn and everything else isn't expensive now. Think about this. Corn, we're idiots. We take corn and we burn it in our fuel as ethanol. Well, they're already behind the scenes relaxing the ethanol standards for this fall because they know what's coming. Anyway, we're working through last year's crop right now. That's how it works. You're 1 year behind on the crop you're working. We had 100 million bushels, 100 million bushels of corn in the United States last year. They're projecting 30 million this year, tops, and that's an optimistic figure. So 1/3 of what they had last year. Most of the cattle are fed with corn, chickens, hogs. Corn is in everything. Corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, soybeans are in literally everything.
Do you
Try to
really think
find.
this is the truth, though, Rich, or do you think this is what they want us to believe, or do you think this is the truth, though? You know, as we know that everything's a lie. Just asking. Is it your belief that this is really going to happen, or this is what they're feeding us?
I know it's going to happen, unless this is the first exception in every 400 years. They're not feeding it to us. That's the point. They're hiding the fact that these places flooded and that they can't grow corn. They had there's a deadline for the Midwest. It's generally June 1st. If you don't have your corn in by June 1st, you're not going to have a crop. Well, we're way past June 1st, and there's still a lot who haven't put their corn in. So they're not going to. It's too late. So the 30 million bushels is optimistic. And they are hiding it from us, Karen. Hiding it. It barely made the news. Oh, yeah, there was floods in the Midwest. Moving on to politics, that type of deal. This whole thing with
You know what I don't understand? I don't understand that they wouldn't suggest that we grow our own vegetables.
They might suggest it there, but they don't suggest it here. And people better learn how to do
No,
it.
they don't here. But what I'm trying to say is, if these things are happening, instead of thinking of the people, start suggesting growing some of your own things or starting to learn. But this isn't on the table at all.
No, you know why? Because this is how they eliminate the population. This is how they get the population to get knocked down. They die off from starvation. China knows about this. They're buying up every single piece of farmland and all the exports they can get of food everywhere. Here's the change. North Africa, the desert in North Africa is starting to become fertile again, and they have known that. That's why all the wars in Northern Africa, like Libya, in the Middle East, Iraq, all those desert places are starting to become fertile again. So they needed to get most of the population out of there, so that big corporations could take it over and farm it. There's so many things that have been pre-planned because they've known this is coming. It's not global warming; it's global cooling, and mankind has nothing to do with it. They want people to think mankind has something to do with it, so they can tax you for it. And how is a tax going to help?
This is why the population gets wiped out every so many 100 years.
Yes, absolutely. And Karen, there's another cycle, a 2,000-year cycle, which makes it even worse on the 400 years. And we're on that cycle right now. This is also the 2,000 cycle on the weather climatological charts, and the 400. It's a double whammy. So people need to, in the UK in particular, they need to know how to build a greenhouse so that they can grow their own foods. Sprouts, that's an important thing. If people don't know what sprouts is, it's seeds that you just soak in water, and you can learn on YouTube how to do it. People need to start learning this. In fact, I might start posting it on my website when enough my web host gets it working again. But anyway, sprouts is you get a whole big can of seeds, something that has a lot of nutrition. I have alfalfa. They're just little teeny seeds, but you just put them in water and let them stay out for 2 or 3 days. Bam, you have tons for a salad. And it's filled with nutrients because they're baby stuff. They're
Hey, Rich,
baby plants.
The hangout we had before this is with Josh X.
Uh-huh.
And he's into the fact that stop eating the process, stop cooking your food, stop trying to get protein secondhand because you think you're getting protein from the animal that's eating grass. Wouldn't it be better if you ate the grass then? Anyway, it's about eating fruit and vegetables and changing your diet, and it changes who you are and makes you much healthier. And he'd like, what did he call it? A forest fest, food fest, land covered in, you're growing all these things. So he's talking about what you'd like to see happen, like
Yes,
community.
you are what you eat. And I switched to pretty much all organic. As I do eat out sometimes, but as much as possible, I eat all organic foods. And it's hard to do because it's more expensive.
He says, though, that even organic, they spray it with chemicals still, just ones that are acceptable. He's talking about going wholesale, getting a bag of onions. It saves you money in the long run, and start off by thinking about growing and stuff. He is right.
Absolutely.
But you know what really amazes me is we're talking about something as if it was extinct. You and I know our grandparents would have had allotments growing vegetables, and yet in a really short period of time we've stopped growing everything. And we're talking, it's almost as if we've now got to completely change our lives again to go back to growing, when actually we should have been growing in the first place.
Yes. Well, people need to, I mean, this year isn't the critical year, but and by 2022 is going to be critical. So use this time to experiment, learn how to grow stuff. You will find that you don't know certain things, that you're going to make mistakes. Learn it now. You don't want to make mistakes when you're
You can
hungry.
do microgreens to start with. You only need a couple of windowsills if you haven't got a garden, which is cress, which I think is what you were talking about. I think we called it salad cress, and it grows in days. But you can just use windowsills to start things off with great,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Learn how to do it. There's something that people can research online. It's called the Back to Eden Garden, and I'll see if I can find it while I'm talking to you.
Maybe in the future, Rich, maybe you'd like to have a hangout with permaculture. He's a channel who's into growing all your own stuff and everything. And he, and it's, yeah, we have hangouts with him. I don't know if you've heard of his channel, Permaculture. Or
No, I haven't.
Culture. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. In the future, maybe that is. We talk, because he would also, is again about growing your own things.
Yeah, if people search online, it's how to grow a vegetable garden back to Eden, EDEN, organic gardening. There's an hour and 43-minute video. There's other videos about it. It's called Back to Eden. Here in the desert, it was easy to grow food in a Back to Eden garden. Here's the nice thing about the Back to Eden garden, Karen. You plant it once, and for the most part, you don't have to do anything. You barely have to even weed it. Now, at first, you have to. But then it sort of takes on, like the forest. It takes on a life cycle of its own. It
What
reseeds
you do is
itself.
you plant things that are going to reseed, so they
Yes,
keep reseeding.
they keep reseeding. Yes. What you do is, like, let's say tomatoes. You grow tomatoes, or tomatoes, as you say. You take a tomato. When you're out picking them for yourself, you take one small one, just squeeze it and let it fall to the ground. Those seeds will go in the ground and reseed. It's that simple. And it requires a lot less water than a regular garden. It holds the moisture well. It's very good for a dry climate, but it'll work in your climate as well. When you do get weeds, it's so easy to pull them out. I mean, just easy. Just pull it out, or you can rake them out easy. No, nothing hard. Everything is great with this. That's one way. You can grow potatoes in a sack, in a burlap sack if you needed to. A trash can, a barrel, a clothes basket or clothes hamper. You can grow potatoes in. Learn how to do this stuff and learn how to get seed from all that. But you have to, like potatoes here, Karen, if it isn't organic, it will never grow because they spray them. Somebody keeps sending me text messages like it's urgent. Oh, hold on just a moment.
Wow, 2 hangouts in a row, guys.
Sorry.
Talking about growing vegetables.
Yes. Well, people better do it. I mean, if you don't want to do it, fine, but you're going to be hurting.
Healthy is heal thyself. And Josh, I mean, in the breakfast now, I eat fruit. I used to eat toast with lots of butter on it and peanut, whatever it was, marmite, whatever, jam.
Yeah. I'm
Now,
not a big fruit person because of the fructose in it, spikes your insulin levels, but that isn't going to be your concern if crap hits the fan. So yeah, anything. But for example, learn which vegetables or herbs can heal you, like oregano. Oregano is fantastic for getting rid of bacteria, infections, and colds and things like that. And other herbs and things like that are used for different things. You need to learn that.
it
But
just seems incredible to me that, you know, it's only a short period ago that we were growing our own vegetables, and now it's like it's extinct and we've never done this and we're totally different. This is what they've done with, you know, going to a ball, isn't it? It was only the 1960s, and that's only 60 years, and people, what, it's new? No, it's not new. But I just think it's incredible. I'm just as bad. You know, for convenience, you're rushing around, you go to the supermarket. But I'm thinking of maybe going to get my stuff like from the market or wholesale.
well, what I was saying was, if you're going to grow potatoes in
But
particular, you need to
yeah,
get organic
you can grow
because the other,
tomatoes. They're really easy to grow, aren't they?
well, it depends.
Oh,
Here you
here,
have to.
Rich.
Here it's a little hot. It's a
Grow.
little hot, but you can do it.
It's easy here to grow tomatoes.
Okay. Yeah, you have a good climate for that. But this is what people like here. It's good to grow peppers. Any kind of peppers are good here because they love heat. So learn what's good for your area, and you want to grow something also that's calorie dense, like potatoes are calorie dense. It's not a sexy vegetable or fruit to plant. But if you need calories, which everybody's going to need because food is going to become too expensive to buy. Oh, and here's another thing: you better learn how to do this stealthily, because if your neighbors find out you're the one growing food, guess who's going to be sneaking over the wall in the middle of the night and stealing your food? So you might want to learn how to grow some of these things indoors as well, and not let anybody know.
Hmm.
And I know I'm sounding like paranoid, but
You sound like Mr. Thrive and Survive.
well, this is how my channel started actually. It was a little bit more economic um, oriented, but I mean, here's the thing. Most people don't know how easy it is to take mylar bags or mylar. You can make a bag out of it if you don't, whatever. You can get mylar bags and oxygen um, packets. What they do is they suck oxygen out of anything. You can even take ground beef, cook the ground beef, cook 5 pounds of ground beef until it's done. Throw it in a mylar bag after it's cool, and then throw in a couple oxygen um, packets. Seal it. All the oxygen will be sucked out of the mylar bag. It'll be extremely tight or whatever. That'll last you 5-10 years. You don't have to learn how to can or whatever. That's a good thing to do too, because if you learn how to do that, that's definitely indoors. Your neighbors don't know you're doing it. But mylar bags also, you can put so many things in there: beans and uh, flour and rice and all kind of things. Rice in particular, that's high calorie, dense calories. Not necessarily, I think, the best food in the world, but again, you're going to want calories. You're still going to need, everybody's still going to need 2,000 calories a day. How are you going to get that when a loaf of bread is $20? So this is not the crap is going to hit the fan. It has hit the fan. You just don't know it yet.
They're keeping
The
us busy
crash has
on
already
other
happened.
things, aren't they? They're keeping us busy with other things like the WhatsApp.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's no longer is this going to happen. It has happened. The United States cannot grow enough corn to export next year, and maybe not enough to feed its own people. Australia was a huge exporter of my whole life of wheat and corn and things like that. They're now an importer because they're having the same problems. So the areas that were able to produce food before are not able to now, and the areas that were barren, like the desert areas around the world, they're starting to become flourishing again. But the powers that be in control are taking those places over, like Libya, like Iraq, those
Sigh.
Northern Africa. So
Big
it is
sigh.
like I said, they haven't announced it because the environmentalists would go nuts, but they have already said this fall they're going to take off the requirement that we put ethanol, which is a corn product, in our fuel. And to me, that's one of the dumbest things government has ever come up with. Mandate that you burn your your food supply. How ignorant is that? Now, do you have ethanol over there?
Probably, Rich. You know what? Just it's changing the subject slightly, but who would want to pass a law so that the media could lie to us? Who would want to pass a law like that?
Well, I can tell you who did pass a law like that.
I know, but I'm saying who would want that kind of law in the first place?
Someone who wants to control the narrative.
It's one of the first things that Trump should have changed.
Yeah, it's a little tricky because you have freedom of the press, so to speak, but they're working on it.
I really hope so.
Yeah, they're working on it. I've seen things that they're doing, but it's got to be done right. And I agree, it's got to be done right because you don't want to. Because if you don't do it right, you'll have censorship like we have with Google. The idea is to get rid of all the censorship. There is something going on with Google, Facebook, or whatever with Trump. He just said it a few days ago. Or they asked me, said, are you doing, Hannity asked him, are you doing anything about it? He said, I cannot say. And if you
I
cannot
would like
say,
to send
that
my
means
channel. I'd like to send the Unscrambled channel to the White House.
whatever. Well, I don't know if you want to talk about it here, but I'd love to know what their excuse was. Now, did you get the regular Sun and Moon back?
I've gone for an appeal, but I haven't heard anything.
So how are you doing it under Sun and Moon Family? Is it a different channel?
Well, no, this one was like part 2, part 3 when we had a strike before because we couldn't stream. We made another channel. So we
Yes.
came on, but I always service these channels by adding the link to every Hangout so that the other 2 channels, because some people were subbed to that one and not the main one maybe. So I never left the other channels out. But right now we're streaming off one of the other ones.
Gotcha. Hey, do you did you think you can get your hands on the video you did where you showed the sprites?
Which one's that? You mean like Robert Forsh's work?
I don't know who you got it from, but it was sprites, and it showed the nice reflection.
I've got quite a few of those, Rich. Which one? I mean, Flat Earth Dude was doing some. I took some of his. I took some of Robert's. Those are videos I made. I've got those.
Did you put sprites in the? I mean, I can search myself. Did you put
You
sprites
mean
in
the
in the
sun?
title?
You look at the sun, and you can see all these things flying over it and stuff.
No, this is like in the upper atmosphere, like real high up in planes, and it shows these. Looks like fireworks. And
Oh, I know what you mean. Do you know what? That one I think was Flat Earth Brothers. They put it out, and they got a strike for using some of that.
are you serious?
Yeah, because some of that was somebody else's work. The
Oh
sprite
my God.
So I took mine down. I think I can't.
Well, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that I'm going to be putting on my new channel, and so I'm just going to have to reference it in the video. Go to here and see what I'm talking about. It's a shame it's got to be that way. Oh, have you heard of bit tubes?
Yeah. Also, there's another one. Dread has. It's called. What's it called? Truetube.com. True. TRUU tube.com. And there he's trying to do the same thing as you. It's his own server. I've got to sign up actually. We had him on. It's on a Hangout on here. It's the first one we had, and obviously things like horrible stuff will be deleted, but after that it's not, reasonable. Then you just put out what you want, and you can make money there. He said you can make money if you want.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal with bit tubes. and they're changing their name. So anyway, you'd have to go find out now what they are. But if you just watch videos, they're going to pay you.
Wow. Probably have to watch quite a lot, though.
Well, I watch quite a lot. I can tell you that. I watch all the time. I'm a YouTube junkie. Yeah. Anyway,
very quickly on mine though, you know, like it's an opinion. Quite often I say in the videos it's my opinion, but I can see all the things that are wrong in this other case. But they always put inappropriate on there, which means that they're not premiering you or recommending you. You're at the bottom of the list. And then all the people who are promoting it, spot on, premiered, pushed, recommended. It's just incredible how everything's the other way around and everything the wrong is being promoted. But Rich, we've been going for 50 minutes. Is there a few more things you want to talk about? Because you said your time's precious today.
That's about it for today. I'm going to be talking more about food and preparing yourself.
Yeah, I like it, Rich.
I can't believe that we're going to get a bark here because somebody's going to ring the doorbell. I think.
Charlie!
They didn't ring the bell.
Shall we say goodbye on air, and we'll say goodbye off there? But, well, Rich, Mr. Thrive and Survive today. Thank you for bringing up those bits about, you know, starting to look after yourself. We need to talk about that a bit more often, I think, now. We just
Absolutely. The time is running out, and you only have so much time to learn whatever your growing season is. And you're a fool if you're a fool to know about this and say, "Oh, I'll do it when you know, when food prices start really going up and food becomes scarce." You could do that, but you're going to end up being hungry because you're going to make mistakes. Trust me. You want to get those mistakes out of the way now.
Start learning to be a bit different. Just start growing the vegetables.
Yes, grow what you like and grow something that's calorie dense. And if you don't want to do that, you better start doing Mylar bags of rice and different things like that.
Thank you.
These
Rich.
things are cheap. Yeah, they're cheap to do right now.
Yeah. Patricia, is there anything you want to say then? Because we're going to finish now.
Yeah, I'd love to talk a little bit more about, you know, at a later date, obviously, about what else we can do if these days are coming. I know I've heard a lot of preppers, and I did a little prepping when I was in the Mormon church, and they teach you a lot about 72-hour emergency kits and things like that. So I'd like to look a little bit more into that. So that'll be nice if you could carry on another conversation another time about that.
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
good.
it's been fascinating. You know, we really need to stop thinking, oh, tomorrow, put it off till tomorrow. We need to start doing it now. Like you said, do it now. The sooner we start, the better equipped we'll be for when it does hit the fan.
Absolutely. Like I said, yeah, I really appreciate your feedback and input. It has hit the fan. You just haven't seen it yet, but you will.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, it's a pleasure as ever, Rich. Thank you so much for spending this time with us talking. And we will say goodbye now on air, say goodbye off air. But thank you very much. Mwah, Patricia. Mwah.
Yeah, thank you all very much.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Love you all. Love you, Rich. Love you, Karen.
Love you all.
Much love all around.